There is a cloth out there on the face of this planet somewhere, a sheet, that it is the most studied piece of cloth in history. Scientists, historians, people will travel far and wide to be in the presence of this cloth, to praise this cloth, to find something holy in this cloth. And this cloth is?
Shroud of Turin.
No, it's Linus's blanket. No, actually, it is the Shroud of Turin. And for those of you who are in the dark about it, the story goes that there was a cloth that was a burial cloth that was placed upon Jesus' body. And that this cloth that they say was the same cloth has things in it that are scientifically, right now, impossible, improbable. That there is a person's face and person's body that is so emblazoned deeply within the fabric itself of the cloth that it becomes almost like an X-ray. And to see clearly, you have to take what is white and turn it to black in order to get the full picture. In this cloth, botanists have studied it, and they have discovered spores and seeds that were present in Palestine in the 1st century, in this cloth. So they have a sense of place, possibly a sense of time. They're still debating that. People travel far and wide to be in the presence of this. You can just Google it and the image will come out. And the question is this the very face of Jesus Christ that I am beholding? This cloth that comes back from burial. And if scientists could verify it as the genuine article, would it make any difference to you? Would it make any difference to your neighbor? How much proof do we need, even if a cloth that told the whole story were to come back from the dead? Would you believe any deeper? Would the world turn? This is just one of many. This past week, scientists through computer technology and satellites have been able to locate a place on the Red Sea where it was possible for a windstorm to come and for there to be a separation and dry land for 2.5 miles as the people of Israel walked across. And it'd be possible after that for the wind to subside and for all those crazy Egyptians to drown. No. It's amazing what our tax dollars go to fund. Yeah. Okay. This is just one of many. The thing, was there a Garden of Eden? And then all of a sudden in the 80s, with Landsat photography from satellites, they were able to look deeply into the earth and to be able to, because in the Bible it says there are 4 rivers, we only know of 2, Tigris and the Euphrates. And through Landsat photography, they were able to find 2 other dead rivers that were there. Okay. Hearing this, does it change us? Does it transform us? No. We could be brought face to face with all of the claims of scriptural truth. And it could be absolutely, yes, that's absolutely there. This is the way, this is the truth. And we could still go on to a rather selfish existence. We could be untransformed because the business of Scripture tied to the business of the Spirit, when they work together, it is to do something singular in our life. It is to make within you the one thing that your heart craves. Augustine said that my soul is not at rest until it rests in thee. What is that one thing? That is beyond anything that we can prove or validate. What is that one thing? It is that we deeply experience and know I am a child of God. I am loved by God. Timothy in his letter said this. He said, there is much gain when contentment is coupled with godliness. You know, we so seek contentment or happiness. We so seek after it. But Timothy's mind, it is only when contentment. That means being content with very little. Not being driven to keep purchasing and keep magnifying and keep stuffing more stuff into our garages difference, which is that what I describe of I am a child of God. I can't look at another person without saying that person is a child of God. Whether our hearts are open to that or not, we are children of the living God. We don't need to focus. We don't need to become distracted by stuff. And the story of the rich man and Lazarus, the rich man had stuff coming out of his ears, and he dressed in purple linens, which is made of this dye, which is incredibly hard to get. And so he dressed in his own wealth. And yet he would pass by Lazarus, who had these open sores that the dogs would lick. I mean, this is the lowest of the low. We could think of poor within our society and feel bad for them. But there is somewhat of a social network, you know, that the poor don't necessarily have nothing. This was a poor man that had nothing. He was begging not for dinner; he was begging for crumbs, and that was his focus. And we know the whole thing of justice that when they both died, that one ran out of the church and I'm sorry, I got delayed. That when they died, that one went to be with Abraham in heaven and had his soul fulfilled with the love there, and the other one, basically what he had was what he had in life, which was a burning, I can't get enough, and a thirst, I need more, I cannot quench my thirst. It is the basis when the Bible talks about the rich. That's what they're talking about. We in this room are the rich, let's face it. We are the rich. We possess far more than any of the kings of old used to have. We eat better. We have better health care. We are the rich. And so for us, the question comes back to us, how do we live in such a way that we have true contentment and we can be free? Because if we were all honest, we'd say, I have these attachments out there, and they're making me crazy because it seems like I serve them more than they make me happy. But I keep buying them. One of the things that we could see is the new iPhones. You know, it seems like they come out with a new one every 6 months or so, and it's built so that you have to have the new one. You know, the old one looks so pale. It used to whir and zzz and do all sorts of wonderful things. And now with the new one, you see your friends and they got the, oh gosh, they could talk to their spouse 24/7. So you have to have it. You know, there are things, and then you know that there's one already in the works that creates a hunger and a thirst within you that you have to possess it in order to be. If I just had that, I know I could be happy. And so this is how we tend to order our lives around that. And the scriptures this morning are inviting us to perspective. How can we have a contented heart? How can we have that contentment? All the religions on the face of this earth, at the heart, at their purest form, they say this one truth, which is that it is our attachments to stuff, it is our attachments to sick relationships, it is our attachments to our addictions that make us sick, and that lead us to continue to crave more and more of the stuff that leads us into sickness. They all say the same thing. If you had the opportunity to come back from the grave and to warn, it's all true. It's all true. Please change, transform your life. Consider Lazarus. Love Lazarus. Divest yourself of anything that you have an over-attachment that defines your life. Get rid of it. If you had that opportunity to send somebody back from the dead to your family, we all would do that. And yet, something from the grave has come back in the form of a cloth. Science is sending us messages. We have Moses, we have the prophets, we have the New Testament. And yet it is still the hardest thing for us to relinquish. And to say, I find that I am attached to this thing, these memories, this bitterness, this relationship in such a way that I can't be free. So our question today is, do we want to be children of the living God? Do we want to live the unattached life so that through our one attachment to God, everything else is ordered? The other day, 2 days ago, I don't know what we were watching. We were watching a show and everything went black. Did anybody experience this in the last couple of days? And everything went black. And so at first you think of all those wonderful memories of, oh, this is good. We get candles out, we'll play some cards, and then it'll be over in an hour and 15 minutes, and then we will make the choice to turn the lights off because we're having so much fun. And that's what we remember. Well, that didn't quite happen. So we went up, and there were lights on all over. There were flashing lights, and there were lots of commotion around the pole right out here. And then we looked up the pole, and there was this. I don't know how long it was, but it was about, I don't know. But it was red, and it was glowing, and it was dangling in the wind. And we thought that would be good. And then we saw these giant sparks shooting out from it into the woods, into our woods. And we know, well, it hasn't rained for a while. That can't be good. And so, yeah, we did get the cards out, and we're playing cribbage, looking out the window at this thing, and now we'd be able to, this really, really can't be good, to the point of maybe we should have a plan. Maybe we should think about what we need to do in case of one of those little sparks, coming our way. And so, in just a 5-minute period, we're thinking, what is so important that we need to just be able to take? Well, first of all, the kids. That's what everybody says, right? Yeah. The kids. So, okay, this is what we do. Wait a minute. Isaac needs his shoes. They're downstairs. I'll get the shoes. It's like, what's the other thing? My computer. I need to bring my computer because I have 5 years worth of work on my computer. And if that is destroyed, I'm not going to start this thing again. So we got the computer, Isaac's shoes, and we're planning to get the kids and be able to get outside. What would you do if you had advanced warning? And we know that some have not had advanced warning and have lost everything. What would you do? In terms of coming up with a plan, what would you decide to take? That would be so important that right now it makes you crazy because everything in your life is guarding those things. You need to make more money in order to create more storage spaces for your stuff. George Carlin. So what would you take? What do you grab onto that you say, I am willing to run out the door in the midst of these flames with my hands full of this stuff? And I think most of them would say, really there's nothing. There are loved ones, people that we have invested in. Some would say, I think I would grab a photograph album. Nothing else, and you know that's true. Nothing else do you prize so importantly that you would put your life on a limb to have that one thing. There is only one thing for you in this entire life here that will lead into a blessing in the life to come. And that is that you are a child of God and nothing can take that from you, and you never earned it. You did not go to work and earn enough money to buy that privilege. You are by nature a child of God. By nature, the image of God has been imprinted so deep in. You know what the image of God is? The image of God is love itself. We are made of the same thing God is made of. When we say God is love, we were made in that image. Love is integral to our being. And we will not rest until we can be complete in love. And that's the story, really, of the rich man who thought he had everything and yet lost his life. And Lazarus, who knew he had nothing